An interesting side note to a lot of this, there were several of the Teach for America teachers, two in particular, but all had certain understandings, were also members of the Educators for Equality, I guess, Excellence, okay, thank you. E4E, an organization that recruited our school by inviting us down to a meet and greet with their leadership at a bar in Brooklyn, which was very revealing because when I was told that I should reserve a spot, I never even heard about this group when we were first recruited, that you had to sign a pledge, the pledge which was totally anti-teacher as far as I was concerned. Anyway, I went to the meet and greet. We, since that time, the two teachers in particular who got more involved in E4E became sources of very stimulating discussion for me. We were able to discuss teacher quality issues and other issues dealing with unions and union representation. And I can honestly tell you that that both of the teachers that I had these discussions with were very open, although I don't think they agreed with me totally. I think they understood what I was saying and accepted a lot of my arguments and viewed their experience and the indoctrination by E4E with a little more skepticism than they would have if I didn't have that discussion with them. Well, as of course it turned out, I only had one grievance the whole time I was chapter leader during the school year, and that grievance dealt with an E4E teacher, which I found kind of ironic because of the fact that it seemed to me E4E was somewhat anti-union, and I say that although that teacher as well as others have vehemently denied them being anti-union, because of the fact that there's an inherent belief in their platform as well as in their discussions with me and others that I've read about on the internet, that they have such faith in their quality as teachers and such deep understanding of teaching, and they come from select areas of the teacher pool, of the pool of people to become teachers. They're really dedicated people that they don't mind being weeded out. Let the chips fall where they may. Let principals make decisions about the incompetent teachers, and then let's keep moving on. So they're never anti-union in the sense that they would say the union shouldn't exist or that teachers shouldn't organize. What they are in terms of philosophically diametrically opposed to basic union precepts, which is that you evaluate people based on on fairness and based on non-discrimination. They don't have a problem with being evaluated by principals who have long histories of discrimination and other agenda going on in terms of decision making about their teaching staff. Anyway, this teacher came to me for a grievance, which of course I would never deny. In fact, I was kind of flattered that she was willing to go through with the grievance. The grievance had to do with the fact that she wanted a student removed from her class who was not listening to her, and that the assistant principal who was there and saw some of the argument refused to remove the student and left him there, basically saying. So at the initial grievance hearing before the principal, the assistant principal and the grievant and myself presented the case. I presented the case, and in an incredible demonstration of the close relationship I have with the principal, he totally scolded the assistant principal for not removing the student. Said that we would write a protocol on student removals, and that it was no longer an assistant principal's discretion to remove a student when a teacher asked that the student be removed, which I don't know of any school that has such a written protocol in the city of New York, but I was kind of proud of it. In any case, the assistant principal, when called upon to remove a student, just removed the student, and we never had any issue like that. Again, the grievance was resolved, and the protocol became part of our chapter bylaws or whatever, our chapter issues. Now, the teacher also was also involved in the issues concerning tenure. A very vocal person about it, feeling very disrespected by the principal and slighted not only by his dishonesty, but by the fact that he put into place a procedure that made it impossible for her to obtain tenure. When I tried to talk to her about the fact that the principal was merely a cog in this decision by the board in terms of how to deal with tenure, and that although I would never defend the principal, especially after it was revealed how he had lied, the fact is that the issue was much greater than she was willing to see. And I think, although I don't think I changed her mind about last in, first out, which is a major tenet of E4E, I think she started to understand the fact that the decision makers in terms of tenure and how last in, first out issues were all tied up in the same kind of decision making that showed that E4E's basic fundamental beliefs were not helpful to the students or the teachers. That there is very little chance in our system of having true fairness in terms of dealing with tenure decisions, and in layoff decisions, the same issue would come up where principals' favorites or team players or other issues would enter into principal decision making about letting teachers go before newer, cheaper teachers were held to not to be prevented from layoff if LIFO was done away with. Anyway, this dynamic I think really demonstrated in practice to a person who was very involved in E4E. In fact, helped write the white paper, position paper for E4E, and in terms of how it affected her, and in terms of dealing with some of the issues when it became personal, how the whole dynamic changed. There is when the E4E white paper dealing with teacher quality and how to demonstrate teacher effectiveness in terms of layoff. There's a whole new rubric they proposed in the white paper based on how many times you were in the rubber room and how many times you were given a U rating, and a whole bunch of very complicated rubric in terms of dealing with who to lay off first, all based on the essential decisions of principals not really wanting somebody. I wrote a retort to that white paper, calling it "Paper on a Roll," I believe is the title of the article I wrote, which is on the ICE blog for anyone to download and review, as well as links to the E4E paper as well.